we'll get things rolling. So my name is Mike Camber. I'm the director and founder of the Bronx Documentary Center. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We're excited to have this conversation here. I know it's an important one. We are going to have a conversation, amongst ourselves here, and we would really love to have questions from the audience. You can send questions in the chat box here or on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, there's a chat box. You can join in there. Send your questions and we'll try to get to them at the end. The questions are, frequently the best part here. So don't hold back. I want to introduce the folks we've got here. We've got Eliana Aponte, who's in Cuba right now. We've got Sebastian Gilmiranda in Argentina. Alejandro Segara in Mexico, and Andrea Hernandez Briceno, is that right, in Venezuela?
Yeah.
Right. Wonderful photographers and all members of COVID Latin America. So we're really, really excited to have you here. If you cannot get, well, I guess if people can't get on here, we're going to have some followers here. We'll also have followers on YouTube as well. So we'll try to get to the questions from both sides. And I want to get going. Can we get started with an overview of what is COVID LATAM? Is there somebody that wants to just give us a general overview of that?
Well, yeah. COVID LATAM is a collective photo project about the COVID in our region. We are 18 photographers in 13 different countries of our continent, and we are trying to make a collective narrative about the situation here. No, we start at the beginning with the first cases here, and we are moving together from different point of view in different situations in all the different countries.
Mm-hmm. So when did you start? In March or even earlier? Yeah,
in March.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Where did you see the first outbreaks, and who's that? Was it your idea to get this up and running?
Yeah, I had the first idea. I moved and I talked with some of the integrants of the project, and in 2 days we have the 18 photographers and the platform and the name and a logo, and we start moving.
Amazing.
Yeah, after 4 months we are here.
And how did you find the photographers? Are you friends and colleagues who've worked together over the years?
That is very interesting. Eliana, you want to?
No, I just want to say, I mean, we are colleagues, you know the names and that's it. But the only person I really know is met is Rodrigo, for example, Federico from Colombia, and that's it. I have no idea. I've never met with the rest of the guys, but the names is for the name. Right. That's it. But it's interesting to meet people through the internet.
Right.
It's nice.
Right. Right. But it sounds like everybody was excited to be a part of it and accepted quickly.
Yeah, sure. Everybody excited.
Yeah.
Excellent. And I'm seeing the Instagram feed is extraordinary. I mean, just incredible. And I mean, it's some of the strongest photo work I've seen in years. And is this the principal way that you're communicating what's happening, or are you using other avenues as well? And also, can you tell us what the Instagram feed is so that people who are watching can get on it? Is it COVID LATAM? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. COVID LATAM. Yeah. And is this is your principal way of getting the information out, the photos out?
Yes. We use Instagram at the first moment because it's easier to put pictures every day, and we have followers and we have an audience in the first moment, and but it's not an Instagram project. It's a document about the situation here, and we only use Instagram like a platform, but we want to show the project in different ways.
We have part of the project up here at the Bronx Documentary Center as part of our third annual Latin American Photo Festival, and it's gotten a huge response. I mean, as we were putting it up, people were stopping and saying, I'm going to get my children. I'm going to come back with my children. I'm going to bring my family back. So we got a tremendous response here in the Bronx from it. People were really, really moved by it. And do you plan more exhibitions, or do you hope to publish a book or?
Yes, actually in this moment we have an exhibition here in Argentina, in the south, in Mendoza. It's the La Bienal del Sur. And it's a really strong and interesting work also, with more than 120 pictures from different countries. And it's really, really nice. And they go to make a book with all the pictures also. And we are moving with the different ideas to show the project. We make also projections in different countries, in buildings and from the quarantines, and it was really interesting also.
Right. And Andrea, in Venezuela, are you able to disseminate the work? Are you able to get the work out there as well? And Eliana, in Cuba, are there ways to? Is there a market? Newspapers, magazines, galleries? Or?
Well, in Venezuela, there are some independent media that are interested in publishing our stuff, but we still have to discuss it and to see if they can pay, or if we should publish them. However, because here the independent media are surviving with donations, so it's kind of a difficult situation for them. And I've been talking to some and like trying to understand their situation before putting this idea into the table of COVID Latam.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Well, here in Cuba, we have like story in Cuba Debate. It's a digital newspaper.
Okay.
And also we are trying to have an exhibition in November, because it's the month of the photography. So maybe we are gonna make it. The idea is everybody is gonna come to Cuba, to Havana, to celebrate, and to have to be in the inauguration.
Right. I'll definitely see you there.
Welcome.
It sounds great. Did you? I'm wondering. I'm seeing a lot of work from all over Latin America through collectives. I'm seeing a lot of collectives in Mexico, in Colombia, in Ecuador. I mean, there are a lot of collectives forming, which is something that we're not seeing here in the US. And I'm wondering, is there a reason that people are working collectively in this way?
Ali?
In Latin America, I think there's a need of coming together, because I feel that Latin America is so big and it's so diverse that photographers we are like disseminated around all the continent. So now this way of working like as a collective, it's happening in Latin America, because it has coming to a time to create structures for Latin American photography. And this way to get some recognition, perhaps, or I don't know if this is that word, but let's say recognition. And into the photographic world in Europe and in the United States, that is where the big media is that provide work. So I think this way we are creating that structure. I think sooner than later, like one of these collective will transform a big photo agency for Latin America. And we will have the first big Latin American agency or photo agency or collective agency. Right. So that's I think why we are like coming together.
Mhm.
And also it's a nice way because, as Eliana said, we are not meeting each other because this is a big continent,
Yeah.
a really big continent. So I never met Sebastian in person. I never met Eliana in person. And perhaps 90% of the collective, I don't know them in person, but I know their work.
Right.
So coming and collecting this way through an Instagram feed is a nice way to create that a structure for Latin American photographers.
Right.
To
And
elaborate-
also,
Sorry.
no, please continue.
To elaborate on what Alejandro is saying, I think that we have understood that we can work as a community, and that's a very sort of important characteristic in Latin American society. So I think it's our way of working and of seeing the world, and that's important for us.
Sure. Right. Maybe there's not quite the same competitive structure that we have here in New York. But we'll
It's
talk about.
quite, I don't know, but for me, it's quite different in Latin America. Or for example, when I was working in Venezuela, you have all these big photo agencies, news agencies like AP, Reuters, France Press. And I felt that when I was in that moment, it wasn't a competition. It was like more like a brotherhood.
Right.
And I felt protected by other photographers that I was supposed to compete. And so it was really nice to having that. It also happens in Mexico. It's happening in Venezuela. I don't know if it's a situation that put together the photographers, but that worked that way in Venezuela. I don't know if it's still that way. Andrea can say, but I don't live it there anymore.
And in that case, with the collective project of COVID Latam, it's also very important for us to have a collective project, because it's an individualist work, and we try to move together to reflect and to try to understand that we are in a very big crisis, but what are behind that? Because there are great social inequalities, great mistreatment of the environmental. So we need to move together to try to change that. So for that, for us, the collective is also a way to show what is important for us in the society. For that also, we are 9 men and 9 women, because for us it's very important the gender equality and a more inclusive world with more possibilities for everybody, with best situation with the environmental and trying to take care about that.
Right, right. So from the beginning, you wanted to be half women and half men. That was important to you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Actually, it's very important in Latin America. There are a lot of collective only of women. No? You can talk about that, perhaps Andrea or Eliana. No?
Yeah, sure. So like 8 women photographers got together, and we formed Ayun Fotógrafas, and it's a collective of all women. And the goal is to help each other to grow together and to make very good work collectively and individually. So that's the point of that. It's sort of a new community.
Yeah. And is that only in Venezuela, or is it in other countries as well?
It's in other countries. So we are Tamara Merino, we are Ana Arevalo, many photographers, Sara Pabs, Daniel Villasana. Yeah. Like we're 8, and we're like a pretty close-knit group, and very cool people, very nice.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, for me, for example, it's interesting because I told the guys I used to work for agencies. I mean, it's my first time actually I'm working as a collective with another young people. So as a woman, it's like it's really to see how important and how everybody's created the building the structure to push and push and push. It's really important for the region. The agencies right now, everybody knows, it's very complicated and situation. The business is falling down. So this is another way to work, and it's possible to do it if everybody, as a work together and build step by step, day by day, and maybe this collective COVID is gonna transform something else, I hope, because we are so diverse, photographers, different backgrounds.
Right.
That is the reach of the group. So it's really interesting for in that
And
way.
maybe the strength of the group also. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eliana, since we're talking with you, can you talk at all about your experience photographing COVID in Cuba? Was it difficult, or can you talk about what you've seen, what you've experienced?
Well, in Cuba is completely different system, and as everybody knows, the public health here is very strong. But as a photographer, it's really complicated because I wish to do more, but the government just say you go until here. That's it.
Right.
So that means I only shoot on the street. I cannot go to the hospitals. I cannot go to the communities. I cannot go inside the houses, for example, is forbidden. I mean, just go to the street and see what can I do. But sometimes also the people are so tired, and the people don't want me to shoot. They think I'm tourist. So it is complicated because it's for them it's like you bring the virus. Say no, I live here for 8 years. I'm almost Cuban. No, I'm not living in another country. So it takes time, and then you can shoot, but only the street. And it's for me it's a little bit frustrated. It's like when you see all these pictures of the rest of the country. The other countries is like, oh, well, nothing to do, but
Right.
it is what it is.
Right. Right. Los otros tienen más acceso. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you've done beautiful street work. I mean, it's incredible. But I know you'd love to be inside people's homes and hospitals.
Yeah, because I want to make like features and. But right now, the people are really, they don't want to talk with foreign people. Actually, it's complicated.
And has tourism been shut down completely because the country is heavily dependent?
Yeah, now they're open the Cayos, small islands around for only tourist people. No between tourists and community, no, only tourists, foreign people. And slowly they are open. They need it. They need it to open the island because the tourist is very important for them.
Right, right. Alejandro, can you talk about Mexico? Can you tell us what you've seen there? Because I mean, I think things are getting, much worse. I mean, it wasn't so bad a couple of months ago, but it seems from what I'm reading that it's increasingly, the situation is becoming really grave.
Yeah, what's happening in Mexico is the quarantine wasn't like enforced quarantine; it was a voluntary one,
right.
And the country started to reopen really early, and now we are having like the consequences of that reopening. It reopens. Mexico City is the epicenter of the coronavirus in Mexico, and it reopens 2 weeks ago, and now there is like another wave of contagious people. So Mexico City is quite hard because if you go to the street, you will see normal people, like normally, like the routine, and it's the same routine that used to be, but with for a face mask.
Okay.
So you have to go between the cracks and go to specific sites because it's also a really big city, like 24 million people.
Right.
And you have to go to really specific places to see what's happening with the pandemic. So you have access if you ask to. You most probably go to say yes, but you need to like make a investigation to find that place between all the people. But there are really small places like this one in this picture. Like it's a place where they were doing a COVID test.
Yeah.
It was in a corner, like a street, open in the street, and it wasn't hard to find. But if you don't have the information from the government, you couldn't find it. That you will be lost for hours looking in the city. So that's the problem. So the people here is not going to the hospital at all, is not having the treatment because the message from the government says stay at home, even if you have the symptoms. So most people go to the hospital where they're really, really, really sick and die. 25% died 2 days from getting inside the hospital. 50% died the next week. So people wait to be really bad to go to the hospital. So it's a tricky situation, but if you go to the city, you will see it like a normal city, reopen. But the truth is that Mexico City is just about to pass Britain in the amount of people who has died. It has right now 42,000 people died.
Yeah.
So total will be America, Brazil, and then Mexico City. Well, no, Mexico City, no, Mexico.
And are the hospitals short on supplies there? Do you know?
Oh, well, the hospitality system in Mexico City, in Mexico, in general, is really deficient. So people don't trust go to the hospital because they know they will spend hours and hours waiting. So they prefer just waiting at home. So some some doctors have been protesting, others are really well equipped, but it depends on the city and the place where the hospital is and how well managed is the hospital.
I've been reading about the President Lopez Obrador, I think. Am I pronouncing his name wrong? And he's had maybe a surprisingly warm relationship with Trump. And has that had an effect or?
No, but it's not that political talk is not dominating the street talk. Like in the streets, you won't see people. No. For example, I live nearby a park where I walk out my dog, and you will see people hanging out, making exercise without mask. And I think it's not a political statement like it is in the US. Like I'm going to use my mask because I'm free to not use it. Here is because it's annoying, it's suffocating. It's not a political statement.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Here it's been very political. A lot of Republicans, especially conservative Republicans, consider it an infringement on their freedom. So, their freedom to infect other people, unfortunately. So
Mexico is not about the freedom. Mexico is about the convenience of this is too annoying. I can't breathe. It's too hot. And we are in Mexico City. So that's the conversation about.
And you've been able to photograph freely and openly without restrictions?
Yes, like here, there's no basically restrictions. From time to time, a police officer will come and ask you, what are you doing? I think it's more about curiosity than that's something else.
Great. And Sebastian, have you been photographing recently? Have you been out on the streets a lot?
Yeah, the situation in Argentina is very particular because we have 4 months of isolation here. The 85% of the positive cases are in Buenos Aires and Great Buenos Aires. And I don't know, the preventive measures were taken very quickly, but for that we have in the first 3 months situation a little better than the rest of the countries in the region, but start to grow up more and more in the last month, and we have now 150,000. But the most important that I think is we have time to push to have a better condition in the hospitals and to have a better condition for the people who are who have positive, and for that we have less than 3,000 deaths in the countries, and that is really important. But I think the most important is the statistic that we doesn't see in the medias. We all the days we can see how is the situation with the new cases, with the death, but it's not possible to see how grow the situation in the neighborhood who are more vulnerable. We have more and more people. They don't have work. They don't have food. They don't have possibilities to have the and in that sense, I think the social inequalities are growing and growing in all the Latin American countries, and that is the worst part of that crisis, because it's not only the people who have coronavirus, it's all the people who don't have possibilities to have a dignity, work, and better conditions, and that is really strong. I was working but normally my work, I work in social humanity and environmental issues normally, and I was working in some places here, and it's really strong because there are a lot of people who they don't have nothing, but they share the food with the neighbors, and they try to push together and it's incredible.
Right. People are taking care of each other.
Yeah.
But I mean, people who are living day to day or week to week, they must be devastated. I mean, economically, and there's very little safety net for them. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, in Argentina, we come for a very big crisis, so that is worse now, and it's incredible to see how is the situation, because we have 4 months of isolation, but in 4 months they don't use the time to try to have better conditions in the more vulnerable places.
Right.
So.
Right. And Andrea, the effect must be terrible in Venezuela economically, in terms of, I mean, people, I believe, have already been going hungry, have already, gone with almost no health care. So what has been the social effect of all this?
So to take it where Sebastian left it, so in Latin America, in Venezuela, most of the economy is informal, and people can't stay home, because if they stay home, they don't eat.
Right.
So what they earn that day means what they will eat at night or the next day. And so what I've heard, I've been photographing on the streets, is that we can't stop. I mean, we can't just stay home and just do quarantine. For them, also social distancing sounds like a trend in New York. Right. It sounds like a fashion thing and not a reality, because for them social distancing and quarantine is a luxury. For them, no. For us, for Venezuelans, and so and people are more afraid of hunger because it's a familiar face than of the virus. A virus is like a ghost here, and it's I mean, we know it's happening, but also there's a blackout in information, and we don't know how many people are infected or have died, or we don't have any numbers for 2 reasons. The first one is that the government controls the laboratories where they tested, and there was just one working until this week. This week they opened the second lab for a country of 30 million people, and so it's just 2 labs working for a lot of people. And sometimes the tests arrive 15 days after they were made, which means that if you survived, you survived. And if you died, you died.
Yeah, but you could also be infecting people for 15 days.
Exactly. And also people with the virus or people with the symptoms are criminalized and they aren't allowed to leave the hospital, or they are put in hotels with no food. And it's like a very strange situation because it's all militarized. Hospitals are militarized, and these hotels are militarized too. and they just stay there. They can't leave. And the only way to get food is to have someone bring it to you. And and sometimes the guards don't let them bring in the food. So it's quite a difficult situation here. And it's also strange because we don't really know what's happening.
Because you're just hearing little pieces from neighbors or from things that you see on the street or what you hear on state-run television. I mean, there's basically no independent press at this point.
There is a bit of independent press, but to get information is really hard. And if you publish something, you might be targeted by government officials. And also there's a situation where migrants are returning by foot to Venezuela,
Sure.
and they aren't allowed to penetrate the borders legally. And when they do legally, they're put into these hotels where you're not in a comfortable situation. And if you're not sick, you still have to do quarantine with people that are sick. So there's a high chance that you might be infected.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The Bronx is quite poor, and there's a huge informal economy. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of people who sell things on the street here, and people who are undocumented, and so they don't qualify for any government relief, etc. And so it's the same thing. If they don't make money for a week, then they don't eat for a week, And we have a lot of people coming, the government says, well, you can just go online and apply on the website, but people don't have computers, they don't have internet, they're not English speakers. So there's so many obstacles for the poor right here that are the same things that I'm hearing from you. It's quite extraordinary.
Yeah, and one of the most interesting things is that the poorest are the ones that share the most, at least here. And they are the most solidarity, that practice most solidarity. And it's like, I've seen in extreme situations is where you can see the real character and the real, face of the people. And I think we're seeing it now. And you see acts of solidarity, and it's beautiful, but also a bit heartbreaking to see.
Right. Eliana, there must be a great sense of solidarity in Cuba at this point around this, or do you feel that?
Yes. The Cuban people are, in that way, they are amazing because always, they used to, they have to. It's the only way to live in this, since forever. So for me, it's interesting because it's like Cuba right now, when I see the rest of the country or the region, it's like I'm seeing Cuban himself. You know what I mean? It's like everybody needs to, be solidarity and help the another and go forward.
Right.
It's the only way.
Yeah.
It's the only way. When I see news from Colombia, I'm from Colombia, I see, how come Colombia is a rich country, come on, but too many poor people live, and now they are helping each other to survive. It's the only way.
Right.
It's the only way. It's the reason here in Cuba is you have to do it. Yeah. If I don't have coffee, for example, I gonna try, how do you say, change Cuba coffee for sugar, like I don't know, deal trade or whatever.
Right.
But it's forever.
Right. We had spoken for a moment earlier before we got started. Can you tell us about the other members of the collective and how they're doing? Because I understand that they're having some real serious difficulties.
Yeah. Well, we have the photographer from Bolivia. She's Sarita. All the family got sick. So it's the first case at the group. So we all, that is, again, we have to push together, we collect money and we send to to Sarita and to help, you know, for medicine or
Right.
food or whatever she needs.
Right.
Yeah, it's the only way. If another member of the group is gonna get sick and it's no, you know, no job, no money, no nothing, we will do again because we have to protect with ourselves.
Right.
Yes, and she lived with her parents and with her brothers and sister, and they are 8 at home, and all the people there they have COVID, and
Right.
so all the people, and the situation now in Bolivia is the worst moment in Bolivia, so it's really difficult for
Right.
her.
It's a terrible time to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Right. Right. We'll be thinking of them. I hope they'll be okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they are doing great. And Sarita now is much better. She's
Yeah.
stronger, you know, healthy, and her parents are getting better. So slowly, they go forward.
We have a photographer here in the Bronx whose family is from Mexico, and unfortunately his father died about a month ago, and so from COVID, and so a lot of people have been donating money and food and supplies, and actually another photographer is taking over a donation tonight to the family, but yeah, it's tough out there. Yeah. And what safety precautions are you taking? Any safety precautions in particular aside from just wearing masks when you're out photographing?
Distance.
More telephoto lenses?
Distance, like I use my 24-70 pretty much every time 70.
Right.
So trying to keep the distance, and I mean it's a hazard. You have to like embrace that hazard and go to make the pictures, but you get a little bit paranoid every time. I have a sore throat and it's COVID,
Right.
and I have a headache. It's a COVID. So in my case, it's just the mask,
Mhm.
keeping the distance and trying to not going like in places that I know that are like hotspots of COVID.
Right. 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 Do any of you live with your parents or with elderly people?
No.
No.
Actually, I'm trying not to visit my parents. They don't understand it because our family is very close. So they're like, why don't you come? And I'm like, hey, my dad has leukemia, chronic leukemia. So if I have something and he catches, I couldn't live with myself. And so we know that we're as Alejandro said, we're a hazard to other people if we get infected.
Right.
So it's one distance. Number two, like hygiene protocols for me are very rigorous.
Yeah.
When I get home, I take off my shoes, I take off my clothes, I take a shower, I wash my hands, and the washing of the hands is what I do the most. But also the distance is very important.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've all been incredibly brave in going out there and pursuing this. It's so important. Just wanted to see what other questions. Let's see. Do you? I want to talk a little bit about some of the other countries. I know Brazil, for instance, Brazil and El Salvador have taken like widely divergent paths in this. Is there anybody who wants to discuss that? I mean, anybody who feels like you have a handle on it?
Not really,
No, not really, because Brazil is so far away, and I don't have too many news about El Salvador specifically.
But Brazil's in very tough shape, obviously.
Yes, Brazil is really hard, the situation there. Well, but you know, it's because the country and the president, they don't take care of the virus, and
right. Yeah.
So in that sense, and they have a lot of focus with a lot of people and a lot of density of people in neighborhoods, and so
sure.
when
sure.
you have one.
But I mean, everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere where people are poor, they're going to be packed together, unfortunately. And so if one person gets it, 10 people get it. They don't have obviously the luxury of spreading out and, everybody having their own bedrooms, etc. So, yeah. But Brazil and Bolsonaro, what he's done is extraordinary,
Yeah.
very similar to Trump, really.
There is a correlation. The four countries that have most deaths, that is America, Brazil, United Kingdom, and Mexico. The four presidents estimated the impact of COVID at the beginning.
Right.
So you have AMLO that at the beginning he was saying like, go to restaurants, I will tell you when you can go home.
Yeah.
Then you have Bolsonaro with the gripezinha and Trump and Boris Johnson have to get sick to react
Right.
to COVID. So these four countries have the same problem, that presidents that they think they know better than the rest of the world.
Right. Yeah, it's important to remember that there are actually very large countries with, tens of millions of people who've had 5 deaths, 7 deaths, 10 deaths, and here in the United States, we've had 140,000 deaths, it's really very much about leadership and public health. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So much of it is completely preventable. Do we have any questions that we can take here? I'd love to open it up to some questions if that interests you.
I would like to talk about the situation. We are really worried about what is going to happen next after the pandemic, because for us it's really important that our community are building step by step, and now we can say United States or another, Europe, that you guys are watching us, and it's really good. That took very long time to do it. So finally, you are watching us.
In terms of public health, or
no. The way you are watching our work, for example,
right.
You are push the pictures, doing books, exhibitions, workshops, etc., etc., etc. So, what happened after this? Because the economy is gonna be, hit very hard to everybody. So I'm afraid that the whole path we made, we're gonna lose it.
Right.
Yeah, I worry about that too, because, for example, like the photographers are here, we already make a career, and I've been pitching like histories, and some editors answer me back like, "Hey, I love it, but we don't have money."
Mm-hmm.
Because everything is focused on the United States.
Right.
So I think that for us, we can handle that, but for photographers just starting, it's going to be way harder to make a path into like media, US media.
Right.
That's like a genuine concern.
I'm just pulling some questions. I think, I can tell you that in the US, I mean, as I'm sure the media here is really, really disintegrating. It's basically consolidating into some very large, the Washington Post is very strong, the New York Times is very strong, but all the local papers are really disappearing. I believe 11,000 journalists have lost their jobs in the last few years, 3 or 4 years. I mean, it's extraordinary. As I always point out, there are, American cities that don't have a newspaper anymore. So there's fewer and fewer outlets. There's fewer and fewer ways to disseminate the work, to get the work out there. And the big folks, I think more and more of the work that's being done, more and more of the really good work is is work that's being done with grants. You know,
Yes.
I'm just not seeing the assignments anymore. I think, I mean, I used to work for, you know, I worked for the New York Times, and they had a budget, and they sent me, you know, they didn't even look at the expenses. It was just go, you know, spend whatever you need, go wherever you need to go. You know, it's very, that's all changed. You know, today, those assignments just don't exist. The expense accounts don't exist. And the work is being done with grants. You know, I'm seeing a fair amount of grant money out there. The foundation world seems to be opening up to photography. And so maybe that's a way for COVID LATAM to keep going, or to get the funding that it needs.
But with this situation, that is not gonna disappear. What do you think?
That's a good question. That is going to disappear, the funds, the grants.
I think a lot of the foundations, if you're looking at the Ford Foundation, if you're looking at Open Society, Soros, if you're looking at the Knight Foundation, I mean, these are foundations that have hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. They have a lot of money. So I think that they're completely focused on COVID, and they're focused on racial equality right now. And I think that's going to go on for some time. I don't think it's something that they're going to forget about quickly. So hopefully there's somebody out there who's looking to finance a project like yours, because it's so important and nobody else is doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, now we are also trying to help our project with foundation. We are trying to make a project with OIM or UNICEF, or different options to try to no waiting assignments or waiting for opportunities. We try to work for our own opportunities to have pushing our work in different ways and in different options.
Sure. Yeah.
I see like a lot of questions here.
Let's get to some questions.
Yeah, I got a question about MyPC 54. It says something about access issues for considerations, health considerations, and I have found one. I want to go to a migrant camp in Matamoros, and the National Institute for Migration says there's a sanitary fence, and they don't any journalists to get in. And you can say that it's a valid concern.
Right.
But my concern is that they like put a fence around the camp, and what is happening inside is cannot be like published or view. A photographer cannot photograph that. So what is happening actually inside? What are the conditions that trying to hide? That's like a question that you make to yourself.
Right.
So yeah, as I was checking the questions and I saw that.
Also, here in Venezuela, we aren't allowed to move from state to state. So we have to stay even in our own municipalities. You have to ask permission from the military, the SODI, so that you can get a letter so that you can move around, and they are not giving that permission.
Okay.
Or
so
if they are,
if you want to go to a different part of Venezuela to work, it's almost impossible.
It's almost impossible. I mean, I have been able to do it only once, and I've been trying for a long time. But I know that a lot of colleagues have tried to get this permission, this letter, and they haven't been able to do it. I hope that someone does it too, because some of us want to go to Maracaibo, which is like one of the worst places where this is, the virus is like disseminating like crazy, spreading like fire. And we want to go there, and like they're not giving access. They want control over everything. And there's also checkpoints all over the city, military checkpoints.
Really?
So, yeah, and they don't allow you to go through them if you don't have a permission.
Right. So even if you got there, you couldn't work freely.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Right. Yeah, one of the questions was about access. So I think that's really helpful in answering that. Yeah.
Also here in Cuba, in Havana, we have the case, they close like blocks, around, and like a neighborhood. And they say to us, don't go there, You are not allowed to go there. If you go, you're gonna be arrested
Mhm.
and go to the quarantine for 14 days. So it's like, don't go. Okay, you're not going. It is what it is. I say the same thing, you know, is when they say don't go, is you maybe you are gonna think, no, I'm gonna make it because I know someone is gonna throw me there. Don't do that.
Right.
Always they're gonna catch you. So
Mhm.
it's not make sense to
Mhm.
be in a risk.
No vale la pena. Yeah.
No vale la pena, exactly.
We had a question from David. Do you work with any writers or are you just photographers?
No, we are 18 photographers on the group, but normally we used to write also in some works or reportages or so I think we are photographers, but a little also writers in some way.
Yeah. That's a good
Yeah.
kind of photographer to be. Yeah. Yeah,
You have to write as well.
absolutely. Yeah, I learned that many years ago when I was starting out. Yeah. I'm just from Daryl Chappelle. Actually, Daryl Chappelle has been supporting photographers, so he's somebody that you should know about. The Chappelle Foundation. I can give you more information and connect you. He's asking, do you have any connection with the Centro de Fotografía in Uruguay, in Montevideo?
Mhm.
I think Sebastian will know that, no?
Maybe Matilde.
That's far away. Yeah, maybe,
Yes,
maybe Matilde.
here, but, yeah, but yes, Matilde was in touch in what moment when we make the projections, and I think perhaps not now, but we are moving to try to put our work in different countries and in different ways, and actually with we are seeing what possibilities to have festivals or exhibitions or also to try to put our work on the streets or with more projections or with screens. I don't know, in different ways. We have one meet by week all Wednesday night, and we are have also a WhatsApp group, and we are all the days with new ideas and trying to pushing together.
Right, right. Regina, who's an old friend who's been working in photography for decades, points out that support from foundations has increased lately, and I mean, they're pledging to continue to support. They're drawing down large portions of their endowment. They're actually really pouring money into these types of projects. So I can also talk to Regina and see if she has any suggestions for you in the future.
Yes, we was working. Eliana was she was working with Regina.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I spoke to Regina for photo evidence this year.
Yes, we make a takeover in photo evidence, but
right.
you can talk about.
She's great. She's great.
She's amazing. She's so generous, and I learned a lot how to make it. And she's pushing and very exciting, and then it was so beautiful work. Yeah. I can tell you. You can see it if you want.
Thank you.
And about the question, I think the support of the foundation increased right now for the crisis, but I don't know what it would happen after that, because in that moment it's true. There are some more possibilities, but I don't know after
Arabian program, and they have different fellowships. But I would say like something specific for Latin America.
Yeah,
that is really, it's too big, and we have too many talented photographers, young talented photographers, trying to reaching these media outlets and show their work, and they don't know how. So I think that like a scholarship for them, like for young Latin American photographers.
Right.
I don't know, for example, the Ian Parrish scholarship do it so well, but it's from, you get all the contacts from Europe. So
Right.
something like that for Latin American photographers. I would like to see that.
Sure.
But
Sure.
also, I would like to add, it's important to do this for the young people, of course, because they are starting and they need to the push.
Mhm.
But don't forget about us. Because always when I want to apply for a grant or send my work to, it's like, oh shit, I don't have the ¿cómo se dice? Los años. I'm too old for them.
Right.
So come on, I'm not old. I mean, I want to be there, but it's so hard sometimes. It's like, forget it. I'm not gonna, fight with these people because I think I have the right to be there.
Right.
No, because I'm older. It's not fair, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I've noticed recently, I've seen some grants and it says there's a cutoff, like a maximum age of 50 or something. I mean, as if people older than 50 cannot take good photos and do relevant work. It's absurd. Yeah. There's no reason at all that there should be a maximum.
Yeah, sure.
What's
No.
that?
And actually, Eliana, she have the one of the younger spirit of the group. I think she pushed. Yeah, that's true.
Let's see that. I can see
Yeah,
that.
well, I have to push. It's the only way. I actually, I'm really, conservative with the group because I love to be around young people. I love to work and do it, and it's like maybe because I'm here, it's like what I have to do. But when Sebastian called me and sent me a chat if I want to be part of the COVID, I say, wow, this is wonderful because it's too many people, too many young photographers with a lot of energy.
Right.
It's great. It's, I'm learning from them, and it's really nice.
Yeah.
Yes, and we want to use also that energy and to push with the collective to have more possibilities also for Latin American photographers, not only for us, it's also for the photographer on the region. We in the collective, in our feed, we have an open day for collaborations on Wednesday. So we invite also the photographers to send us pictures, and we want to show also the work of another photographers and to try to push together because we feel that we need to have more possibilities, and we have a lot of great, very, very good photographers on.
Yeah, the talent's amazing. I mean, the photos I'm seeing are as good as anything, I mean, any of you could work at a magazine or an agency in the United States, if you wanted to do that type of work, no, so the incredible talent. So I wish we could have you all in New York for maybe next year for our festival.
Yes, we want to.
Yeah, man, yeah. Why not?
Usually we have plane tickets and we bring everybody to New York. So, but this year we couldn't do it. Yeah. There's an interesting question I want to get to from Detroit. Someone asked, how do you incorporate the art aspect of photography as you're photographing the pandemic? How are you using art or aesthetics or, strong visuals, I suppose? Does anybody want to tackle that?
Andrea is the one who.
Yeah, Andrea is the artist here.
Yeah,
Andrea.
Yeah, she is.
I think actually I disagree. I think you guys are artists too. Like, but
come on.
yeah, you incorporate your vision into the images, and I think that's what makes the work strong. That's like the conductive thread, and we try to really show what's happening. But what I've seen is that the whole part of the collective, we want to also imprint the feeling and the atmosphere of what we are seeing.
Right.
I really see that in the images, like of everyone that's in the collective, all 18 photographers.
Mhm.
And yeah, we try to evoke and not just show.
Mhm. So you're evoking by using beauty or using emotion or using strong visual graphic images.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we do. I mean, that's what I think we try to do, and it's also because we want to make justice to the stories of the people that we are that we're photographing,
Right.
and try to do it. What I've seen that I like is that in the images you can see the respect that the photographer feels for the person that they're photographing, the participants of the story. And I really think that's important, especially in Latin America, which is a continent that has mostly been shown by other people that are not us.
Mhm.
And I think that's important, and that's the beauty of this collective, and that's why I think it's important for us to be together.
Right. Right.
Yes, and also because I think we are working during the pandemic, but not also thinking in the pandemic. We are thinking also in life, in people, in the more vulnerable places, to have a better new normal, a better world for after that. And we want to use the project also to reflect and to try to think about possibilities to change in positive way the society and the environmental, and yes.
Right. Right. I had a friend who used to take very striking, very sometimes beautiful, but very striking photographs in very difficult situations. And we talked about it, and he said, if I take boring photographs, nobody's going to look at them. So if I want to call attention to something, I have to grab you, you know? And
well, for me, once when I started my career, a photographer told me like the best advice they ever told me was make your personal work more commercial and your commercial work more personal, and then you will find the balance to be a successful photographer.
that's great advice. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I want to add that here in Latin America, what I see in most of the countries that I've visited is that we don't see things. The explanations aren't just facts. We explain things with spirituality and magic and also facts, but it's a combination of all of this. It's not just
Right.
what we see there. It's what's behind, what's outside of the frame.
Mm-hmm. There's a bit of magical realism going on in some places.
Maybe sometimes. I mean, yeah, it could be.
Or something else.
No, I think
Something else.
I think the whole Latin American region is really powerful in the way, very charismatic, lovely, and close. You know, it's everybody knows everybody, and that means it's different approach if you are in the United States or you are in Europe.
Right.
You know, when you are in the United States, people are really, they take distance, not because the virus is always like that.
Right.
But Latin American people all the time is, you know, hugs and love, and I don't know that way our pictures in general, from Argentina to Mexico, you can feel the atmosphere, and that makes the difference between, you know, our narrative to another Europe or America or United States.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, actually, that point is very important because we feel that in our project we have that Latin American feeling, and the isolation here is very different because for us it's very important the family to be together and it's that, yeah, and we are crossing also for that. So the project is also more subjective perhaps that and others works because we are in the same situation. So I don't know. I don't see my parents for 4 months, and I live from I don't know 20 blocks from here. They live, but yeah, I know, as Andrea said. I know. I go outside, and they have more than 70 years, and yes, we need to take care of us, but also for the others.
Right, right, absolutely. Yeah, you're in a very tough spot. Let's just take one or two more questions, and I know we've been talking for a while. I don't want to keep you too long. Katie asked about the similarities between your countries in response to covering COVID-19. I think she's asking about are you seeing, well, I guess Andrea and Eliana, you've seen some of the same difficulties. Are there also similarities? Have any of you moved between countries, or you're stuck in your own country, essentially?
I'm stuck in Mexico.
Right.
And not only because
No,
COVID, and because passport issues too. So.
Yeah. Right. It's not so
No,
easy.
I actually live in several countries before Cuba.
Mhm.
So I'm older, remember?
Right. You look
it's-
very young, Eliana.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, I start very young, actually, when I was in university. So I travel a lot before, and but now I'm here in Cuba. I used to travel often to the United States, actually, to New York and to Colombia,
Okay.
because I have family in both sides. So, but yeah, now in Cuba is only like my home now.
Right. Are there other female photographers that you look up to from your generation or previous generations, especially in Latin America?
A lot. But you know what? They're gone because nobody cares about them.
Right.
This is the reason I push into, come on, we are here. You know, we want to share our work, our experience. We have a lot of experience. So why don't take us seriously? Not because the young people, they are starting, they need it. Of course they need it. But what happened with us?
Right.
Yes, we was talking about that. Actually, we have Matilde also in the group. We have Ana Carolina in Rio de Janeiro, and they have an incredible works, and also an incredible person. Ana Carolina is an open book. Is really interested to talk with she, and she have really strong. For me, it's one of the best photographers in Brazil, and she have an incredible work. Ana Carolina Fernandez. Yeah.
Okay.
And Matilde also, she have a sensibility. I don't know. That is really interesting on the group, because we work in with different point of view, with different feelings, with different backgrounds, and that is really interesting.
Yeah. It's so strong and so different, so very different.
Yeah.
So very different, but also really showing the loneliness, the emptiness in a very powerful way.
Yeah, for us is an inspiration to work with them, because with most of the people in the collective, but especially with them, because we see that we can have a future in this.
Mm-hmm. Right. I was well, I think, are there any things that we've missed? Anything else that you want to say or get out there while we're?
I think we're taking your what you're saying, the question. I think that's the value of COVID Latam, that each country is a different universe. Each country is taken differently. It's not the same, the quarantine from Venezuela to quarantine from Mexico, right, or Argentina, or what is the government measures to protect the poor. And you have that, you can see that in COVID Latam. So it's all these countries together in just one timeline.
Right.
And you can see the difference. You can see what is equal, what is happening in Latin America. Each country is so different. So that is the real value of COVID Latam. That because otherwise, if you cannot have the information of what's happening in Latin America.
Right.
Because in the United States have their own crisis right now
Sure.
with COVID-19, Black Lives Matters, the police brutality, and somehow this Instagram feed tries to elevate what's happening here to other places, and you can see it and have make a judgment for yourself.
Right. Yeah, and also I think without the vehicle of COVID Latam, you would have individual photographers working in individual places, but it would not come to the attention of people. I mean, I think you're really creating a historical record that people will look back on for decades, maybe for hundreds of years. I mean, when they want to know what happened in this time and place and how COVID, spread and was contained or not contained in different places. I mean, I think you're creating one of the definitive records of that, and that's extraordinary.
Totally agree, because let's say in 100 years, people will see the picture of COVID, how we see the picture of the Spanish flu.
Right.
We'll see it in the sad same way. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
We would like to make a book, a big, beautiful book, because this is gonna be like, it's done, it's here. The next generation is gonna see it.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe the Bronx Documentary Center can help us, or Regina can help us, because no, really, it's important.
Yeah, photo evidence will do a book.
Yeah.
Big, and with Regina, I know you are there. Regina, be ready. We are gonna do the big book, for all the photographers, and it's so beautiful, and for sure.
And important. Regina, we're counting on you. I'll be here to help you.
Nice.
Good. Well, listen, I cannot thank you enough for your time and for the conversation. And please, send us emails if you have questions, if we can help you out. That goes out to the people who are listening online as well. And we'll try to make whatever connections we can to move your project forward. It's so important. Yeah. And,
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, it's a really pleasure to be part of this, of the talk, of the festival. We think also the festival is very important for Latin American photography, and it's really important to have more places like yours. And
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna come down and visit when this is all over. But our Latin American Photo Festival is up through next weekend. It's up every day, and it's up on the fences and walls all throughout our neighborhood. So please come visit. The projections are at night, and they start around 9 o'clock. So I'm just putting in a plug there. But again, thank you so much, and we'll talk again soon, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for having us.
The BDT.
Thank you. Okay. Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah.